What I'll do is I'll provide an example, which will serve as a way you can get started with launching your brand. So if I take you back to to 2018 timeframe, when I decided to make Salesforce my second career after the military, I knew that I would have to develop a personal brand that compensated for a complete lack of technical experience. I had never heard of Salesforce before. I certainly didn't have any badges. I had no knowledge of it. And not only that, I had no Salesforce professionals whatsoever in my network. In fact, I deleted my LinkedIn network and I started over. And so after conducting this personal inventory of my skills and attributes that I mentioned earlier, I decided to focus on my transitional journey from service member to Salesforce professional. And this was my initial branding statement, right before the current one. And I was going to highlight the one, what I call a meta ability that has enabled me to succeed in every environment. And that was was and is my work ethic, right? So I always tell people there's always going to be smarter people in the room with me, but there's never going to be anyone in the room with me that works harder than me. That's something I can directly control. And for that matter, so can you. But then again, it's not enough to simply say, oh, you know what, I possess these valuable qualities. I'm a hard worker, right? Everybody says that. No one's going to list laziness in the soft skills section of their resume. I actually had to prove that I was a hard worker. And so to accomplish this, I brought my personal life or my personal brand to life, and I communicated my work ethic and my passion for the Salesforce platform by earning, Trailblazer or Trailhead badges as quickly as I could and broadcasting my achievements on social media. And so, this act of earning Ranger over and over again every few months and sharing it with the Trailblazer community on social media, for me, was an effective method for getting the attention of potential employers. And, funny story, I talked about before we began rolling how, or I guess that was after we began recording, how I got the idea for my professional brand from a Boston Salesforce Saturday meeting. I was sitting, we were at, I forget where we were at. It was some coffee / salad place in Boston.
It was Panera. It was Panera in Back Bay.
Panera Bread, yep. So we were sitting there and the topic of Jennifer Lee came up, who's also a Boston Salesforce Saturday community member. And if you haven't heard of her, she now works at Salesforce. You can link with her on LinkedIn and especially Twitter, where she's most active. But at the time, and I believe it's still true today, she had every single badge, which was mind-boggling. It was one component. She's got many of her personal brand that was effective in getting her name out that people knew her for. So I was like, okay, well, if Jennifer can do that, I can probably do that too. And so I did. And I still use this strategy today, right? And it still works. So if you looked at my posts from earlier this week, I earned my 1900th badge and I posted about it on LinkedIn. And, that post has, it's right now it's something over 18,000 views, which, is decent coverage. And so, I'll finish up with this, right? If you're asking yourself, okay, Dave, great, awesome, lots of views on social media, that's great, but how does that land me a job? I've asked myself that, and I was asking myself that in the initial stages of my branding strategy. And so, the number of views and reactions you get to a post in and of themselves don't necessarily mean much, right? But they are a direct measure of that post's engagement and exposure level within your network. And so statistically, over time, right, if you've taken the time to build a targeted network, and what I mean by targeted network is, it's folks that are relevant to your profession, right? So if you're a Salesforce professional, it is Salesforce admins, developers, consultants, recruiters, hiring managers, so on and so forth. It's not like, people in, I don't know, the architectural or the engineering industry. It's focused in on your industry. So if you've built that targeted network, right, there's going to be a high likelihood that in those views and reactions, there's recruiters and hiring managers who may be looking for Salesforce talent. And so over time, if they continually see you posting quality content, your professional reputation is going to grow and you're going to begin to be seen as a thought leader in the industry. And that will eventually translate to being invited to interview for open positions that align with your expertise. And that's exactly what happened to me.